let's get to see what it is. Let's get to see what it is you're anticipating in the markets today. Before I actually jump into the technical side of things, you can see right here I do have the blog at chasecapitalke.blogspot.com. You can easily go and check out my technical analysis. You can easily go and check out our videos. You can easily go and find a lot of educational materials on the financial markets right here on the blog. Then let's have a look at what we are anticipating. Let's have a look at what we're anticipating in the various markets today. I'll also get to do a video on supply and demand. I've seen a request by someone asking if I can do a video on supply and demand, talking about the various levels, how to identify supply and demand, and how to trade supply and demand. Now, realize I am a swing trader. My strategy is I trade supply and demand. So the swinger, I'm usually focused on the higher time frames, like the 4 hour, the daily time frame, and now my execution is based off the 1 hour time frames. So I will get to do a video on that, talking about supply and demand. But for now, I want to do a midweek market review on what it is you're anticipating on the various pairs, and also give you updates on the pairs that have been on my watch list this week. Then after these, I'm going to give you a good video talking about how to approach supply and demand trading, and how to approach it from both perspectives of as a swinger and also as a day trader, because supply and demand doesn't limit you to just becoming a swinger. Because when I was starting out, I didn't just start out as a swinger. I had to start off as a day trader, then go progressing on as a swinger. So right here on my screen, this is what I have. I'm looking out for. This is Euro USD right here. So we've had price reacting from this demand at 1.17900 and 1.17480 areas for quite a while now. So my working range has been from this level right here, this demand all the way to the highs of 1.20400, and back to this demand right here. That range was filled. Then now we saw a very nice push to the upside, all the way to the mid range. That is about like 1.19200 areas. Then price dropped all the way back. So I'm looking at price coming back to the levels of 1.17900 areas. Then once we have that, then we will be looking at prices potential bullish reversal at this level here. So I'm closely monitoring to see how price gets to react to this, because I have been looking at a long-term potential bullish scenario on this. But now when price got to the mid-range and price is coming back to these areas of 1.18000, 1.17900, what I'll be waiting to see is a top of that demand. Then if that demand holds, I'll be looking at a potential bullish reversal. So we have that. Let's observe and see. How price gets to. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to that. All right. So we have this. Then let's get into GBP. Let's get into GBP USD. So for GU, this is what we've had. So price dropped into a very key area of demand, and these are the levels of 1.35600 and 1.35350. So my working range, right? My working range being from this demand area here, from this level all the way to these highs at 1.38500, and back to this demand. That range was filled. Then you had a push to the upside at 1.37000. Then price drops back into this demand. Again, that range is filled. Now we had price forming a rejection week with candle close inside this zone. Then now we're seeing a strong push to the upside. So that means that this demand has held. So definitely we will see a potential bullish reversal from this level here, and we see price pushing to the upside and back to the first area of interest, which is the levels of 1.37000. Then the next area of interest is price filling the whole range all the way back to the areas of 1.37500 areas. So that is what I'm closely monitoring to see how price gets to react to this. I remember we were quite bearish on this, and now the target was hit. We saw price. Actually, our major target was the levels of 1.35590. So price dropped all the way to the levels of 1.35000, forming a liquidity grab, then pushing to the upside. And as we can see right here, price is pushing higher. So definitely we are looking at our potential bullish reversal on this scenario, right? So we have that on GBP USD. Also on the video, when I'm going to talk about supply and demand, I'll also show you how to plot these levels, how to identify them on different timeframes, and also how to be able to execute from these levels professionally. All right. So we're going to get into that in a bit. So this is what we have on GBP USD. You can see even on the daily time frame, the kind of reactions we're seeing from price at these levels. So we have been quite bearish, and each time price has tapped this level here, All right, we've been quite bearish, and each time prices tap this level here, we've seen a strong push to the upside, showing that this level has high demand imbalance. Because each time price taps this level, we see a very strong push to the upside. Comes back to these again, we see a very strong push to the upside. Currently, you can see the kind of rejection that price has formed at this level of demand. We have a very strong rejection week and a candle close above the zone that is on the daily. But on the 4 hour, that is where you can see price has formed a liquidity grab all the way to the levels of 1.35 thousand. Then price is back above demand, showing that you're still above a bullish trajectory. Unless price will have broken below, then it will have formed potential continuation. That will be more of a DBD kind of scenario. But for now, this is more of a DBR where these are drop-based rally, and we are expecting a potential bullish reversal on this. All right. So we have this. Then let's have a look at USD CAD and USD CHF. So as you all know, I focus on major pairs, right? I focus on major pairs, all dollar pairs. I look at commodities like oil, that is both Brent and crude oil. Then I also get to look at indices like Nasdaq, US 30, the FTSE, that is UK 100, and also silver. All right. So let's see what you have on USD CHF. So this is what you have on USD CHF. We had a very strong drop into this demand. All right, we had a very strong drop into this level of demand. Now, my area or my level of demand is on the 4 hour and the daily is the area of 0.76547, let's say about 550, and 0.76140 areas. And now each time you see how price when dropped in this area, these on the 4 hour, if you come check out on the daily, this is what we have. So on the daily time frame, you can see how price reacted to this level, a drop into this demand, then a push up all the way to 0.78 thousand. Then we saw another drop back into this demand. Look at the kind of rejections that we're seeing at this level. So we have a multiple rejections with candle closes above demand, showing that that demand has held, and we will be anticipating a potential bullish reversal. So let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. I'm looking at a potential push to the upside. Now back to these highs of 0.78 thousand, because now this is the mid, they're more like a mid range. Then the full range is price coming back to these areas of 0.78590. But I would expect to see probably a push till these highs. A push till these highs. Then now probably either a push to the downside, or if price takes out these highs, we have a range to fill like this. So you have a full range to fill all the way to these areas of 0.78, 500 areas. All right. But definitely the first area of interest will be the area of 0.78 thousand. All right. So we have that on USD CHF. Now, these on the daily, I've also talked about how the outlook looks on the 4 hour time frame. So let's have a look at USD CAD and see what it is we are anticipating for that. So on USD CAD, this is what on USD CAD is what you have. So again on USD CAD, these are very solid. These are very solid rally. So price dropped from these highs of 1.37400 all the way down to this demand and back to these highs. This range was filled. Then you had a nice drop again down to this area. You can see on the 4 hour, you will see candle closes below this level. But on the daily time frame, you will see rejection wicks with candle closes inside the zone. Then you see a strong push to the upside. We had a breakout, a retest, and a push to the upside. So what I'm waiting to see is price rallying to the areas of 1.37 thousand, or even coming all the way to these areas of 1.37, 1.37 for 100 areas. All right. So then when price gets to that area now, probably you can look out for a potential bearish scenario. So let's observe and see how price gets to react to that on USD CAD. Then let's have a look at NZD USD. Now, for NZD USD, we've been holding this position, I think, from last week. It's been more of a consolidation scenario. Now, this is what you have on NZD USD. This is a long-term drop that I'm looking out for, and this is from a zone on the daily time frame. All right. I know my chart here shows the 4 hour. Let me come to the daily, then you can be able to just check it out and see. Now, these on the daily. You can see the kind of structure that price has formed right here on the daily. So we have this kind of scenario whereby price forms this supply. Okay, the major range has been from this supply all the way down to this demand here. Then from this demand all the way back to this supply, that range gets filled. Now look at the kind of reaction that price forms each time it comes into these each time it comes into this supply. We've seen strong pushes to the downside, very strong pushes. We have here, we have here, we have here, we have here, and now we are seeing this. So my anticipation is that now that the range has been filled on the higher time frame, both that is on the 4 hour and the daily, what now we will be expecting to see is a potential bearish reversal and price pushing to the downside. The first area of interest will be the low of 0.59500 because that is where the mid range is. Then the next area of interest will be price coming all the way down to the areas of 0.58 400, 0.58 400 areas, which is basically back to this demand. Right, so these are long-term swing for probably anyone who's looking at taking this. I know there's quite a number of us who are probably holding this position. So for those of us who are, just keep holding that. All you just need to do now is a bit of trade management on these in terms of either moving stops to break even or moving stops to profit or even taking out partials and something like that. But in terms of like the directional bias, we are looking at a bearish trajectory on these. Then let's have a look at AUD USD. There is AUD USD. We saw price tap these areas of 0.71 for 100 areas, and then now you're seeing a push to, and then now you're seeing a push to the downside. So a top of these area, then now you're seeing a push to the downside. I don't want to see probably a slight retracement to 0.71 thousand before potential drop to the downside, because again my working range is from the demand level at 0.69380 and 0.69017. So this range is from this demand all the way to these highs of 0.71 for 100 and back to this demand. That range is filled. All right. So that is what I'm looking out for on this one. Remember, AUD USD and ZD USD, they are quite some very slow pairs. So it may take a bit of time before the setups actually get to materialize. But for those who actually get to take and trade these pairs, then that is the scenario that I'm looking out for on that. Then you have Euro GBP right here. So for Euro GBP, we've seen a very nice, this has been the working range that we've been working with. And again, this is on the daily time frame. So this is what we have. Our working range has been from this supply at 0.70, 0.87380 and 0.87605. So my working range has been from this supply all the way down to this demand. And my demand is at the areas of 0.86440 and 0.86128. So it's about 130. And back to this supply at 0.87380 areas, that range was filled. Then now we see a potential bearish reversal, as what you've seen here is a rejection wick with candle closes below the zone, and now we are seeing a slight push to the downside, showing that potential bearish reversal. So what I'm anticipating to see is a drop to the downside and price coming back to this demand at 0.86 for 40. So that range is filled like that. All right. So we have that on a Euro GBP. Then let me have a look at US oil and UK oil. You can see even on the 4 hour time frame, before I even get into US and UK oil. So even on the 4 hour time frame, you can see you have rejection, then you already have a strong push to the downside. So what we'll be waiting to see is a potential, probably slight retracement, then another strong drop all the way down to the areas of 0.86 for 40 areas. All right, so we have that. Let's wait and see how price reacts to this. Then let's have a look at US oil and UK oil before I get into the indices. US oil, we have that. There is US oil. Let me have UK oil just right next to it. So we have UK oil like that. So let me start off with US oil. So for US oil, we have been trading within a minor range of from this supply at 66.47 and 65.66 all the way back to this demand at 62.60 and 61.70 and back to this supply. That range was filled from this supply again back to this demand, because again it's the origin of price moves, the origin of the drop and the origin of the rally. Then now price is back at this demand and you're seeing this demand holding. So chances are very high that we might actually see a potential bullish reversal, right? We might actually get to see a potential bullish reversal on these, and you see price pushing to the upside. So I don't want to see a push above a retest there now, a rally back to the origin of this drop, which is these supply at 65.66 areas. All right. So you have that. Let's wait and see how price. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Then for UK oil as well, it's the same scenario. We had price breaking above this supply. So when supply is broken, becomes demand. So this is more of an RBR kind of scenario. So we have the break above, price forms a higher high, a slight retracement, another higher high, slight retracement, push up, slight retracement. So as long as price has not formed any candle close like this below this level to signify a potential bearish reversal, I am still quite bullish on this. So I don't see price hold at this area, then a potential bullish push to 70.50 areas. All right, 70.50 areas. So let's observe and see how price reacts to this. That is US oil, UK oil. Then let's have a look at NAS and US 30. NAS 100 and US 30. So there is NAS 100. So for Nasdaq, price has come back to this area. These on the 4-hour time frame. For Nasdaq, price has come back to these levels of 25,037 and 24,874. This is more of a breakout, retest, continuation. So price is back at these. I don't see a potential drop all the way down to these areas of 24,000 areas. All right, and it is based off this demand. From demand all the way to this, then we head back to this demand, then a price pushes all the way to this areas of all-time highs. So I don't want to see a potential drop from there and price coming down to the areas of 24,000 areas. So let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Then we have that is on the 4-hour. If you come to the daily as well, this is what you have. So on the daily, this is what you have. When I zoom in on my screen, you can see on the daily right there. So I don't want to see a push to the downside, price coming either to 24,000 or even back to the areas of 24,400 or even 24,000, which is down here for the full range to be filled. Then we have one US 30. For US 30, this is what we have. US 30. This is what you have in US 30. Mm. So there it is. So we already tapped the all-time highs of 50,500 that we had previously mentioned. And now we are looking at price has dropped back to these areas of 49,200. I was anticipating to see a drop all the way down to 48,836 for the full range to be filled, because now the working range is from this demand all the way to these highs of 50,500 and back to this demand. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price reacts to this. Then let me have a look at silver and gold. Let me have a look at silver and gold and let's see what we have. So there is gold. Let me have just silver next to it. XAG USD right there. There we go. So starting off with gold. Gold has been at the mid-range between the zone of 5,077.155 and 5,005.884. And my working range on the 4-hour time frame, now this is a bigger picture. So from this demand at 4,577 and 4,523, all the way to the highs of 5,600 and back to that demand of 45.77 and 45.23, that range was filled. Then you saw price rally all the way to the mid-range at 50.77 and 50.05. So price has been, we saw a tap of that area, a push to the downside, 4,700. Price comes back to this, a push to the downside. This was a retest here at 5,005. Price is still pushing higher. So chances we might see, as long as you're still below the mid-range, we are still bearish. So I don't want to see probably a slight push to the upside before now another drop to 4,800 areas. So 4,800 areas will be the first area of interest, and 4,700 will be the second area of interest before now we might see a potential bullish reversal. But for the short term, plays, I'm looking at a slight push to 4,800. Then the next area is 4,700. Remember, I've highlighted that is short term plays, is not anything long term. Then for silver, this is what we have. Now again, for silver, you can see this is on the daily, and my zone corresponds with the daily and the 4-hour time frame. So for this one, Silver price tapped into this demand level at 72 and 50.45 and 70.49282. So this demand again was the origin of the major rally all the way to the all-time highs at 120 and price dropping back to this demand at 72.150 something something and 50.45 and 50.45. So we saw the first tap price rallied to 92, then drop back to demand. The next one is price rallied to 85, then has dropped back to demand. So at this area now we are seeing a potential push to the upside. So I want to see price push at least back to these areas of 80.47606 before now either a potential push to the downside or price breaks above. So again, that is also a short-term play. So I want to see price rally to 80.47606 before now we see a potential either reversal or a continuation. So for those two, I've mentioned those are short-term plays, all right? So we have that and more of these analysis. Definitely I get to share it on my private Discord for Chase Capital, and you can also get more of these videos on YouTube. So as I wrap this up, don't forget, I will be sharing one on supply and demand. I will be sharing a video on supply and demand. Get to understand and learn how to trade supply and demand, how to plot the levels, how to do your analysis on supply and demand, different time frame analysis, and definitely that will help guys be able to understand the dynamics of supply and demand. So thank you guys. Cheers, everyone. I wish you all a very amazing. I wish you all a very amazing week. So stay blessed and stay financially literate. So cheers, everyone.